So we have new women's tag team champions, Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. They won the Fatal 4-Way on Monday to crown new tag team champions. They beat out Raquel Rodriguez and Shotzi, Bayley and Io Sky, and Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. So now what? Who challenges them now? There's no real competition. And Ronda Rousey herself said as much in an interview with the New York Post after their win on Monday. She said, "The lack of competition is really the problem. I mean, we want to be the most active champions out there. I want to be able to defend this title every week and even twice a week on both SmackDown and Raw. But with how dismally shallow the women's division is right now, there's not enough women around here to keep us busy for a month. And so that's the biggest challenge that we have, is to get this company to actually care and invest into this tag division. It was like the entire women's division just got stripped clean," she said, referring to the time between when she left in 2019 to become a mom and when she came back last year. She said, "Now we're the women that are left trying to piece together stories and a division, a tag division with around 10 women or even less on each roster. I mean, we're trying the best that we can to make chicken shit into chicken salad, and we made some amazing chicken salad on Monday night." I don't know about that last statement, but she's not wrong. They're swimming upstream. Have been for a very long time, and it has not gotten any better with Triple H as the chief content officer. This was my point all those weeks ago when I mentioned, he has a real task in front of him coming out of WrestleMania and coming out of this draft as far as trying to put a greater emphasis mainly on mid-card stories. Not that the stories around, if there are any at the moment, around the actual women's championships are any good right now, but they're so laser focused typically on just the Raw women's title and the SmackDown women's title. It's almost like to hell with everybody else. And you could argue, well, some of the talent, maybe it's part of the problem is the talent they have and they're not that good or they're weak. Yeah, okay, fine. Maybe you can say that about some of the women. You can't say that about everybody on the roster. There has to be a clear focus here on stories and developing personalities, and they just have not been doing a very good job of that. Now they have 2 sets of tag team champions on the main roster, with Alba Fire and Isla Dawn walking around with the NXT women's tag team titles. The best thing to do would be to merge them as soon as possible, but that's not going to end well for Alba and Isla if they do that. They have not even been established yet on television. They've had 1 match and a couple of videos. That's it. Actually, the best thing to do, if I'm being perfectly honest here, the best thing to do would be to burn the belts and spread their ashes behind the Alamo Dome over Bray Wyatt's gravesite where Roman Reigns buried Bray's body. If you listen to that person's voodoo theory from last week's mailbag. Just get rid of them. Just get rid of them altogether since they have no women's tag team division. Merge the Raw and SmackDown women's belts into one women's championship that floats, and create a women's intercontinental title that also floats so that other women on the roster have something to fight for. That's part of the problem right now. It can be hard to develop stories in the mid-card if it feels like these women have nothing to fight for. A secondary women's title only works with one division, because you're not going to have an intercontinental and a US title. The division is not big enough to support that. This idea only works with one singular division and a title that floats. Not if you're going to cut the division in half between 2 shows. But that would give people like Zoe Stark and Mia Yim and Piper Niven and Chelsea Green and Indy Hartwell something to fight for, with the bigger names occupying the title picture at the top of the card. The Rhea Ripleys of the world, and Charlotte and Becky and Asuka and Io and Bianca. Right? That's for them. But what about the other women? That's where a women's intercontinental title would come into play. The issue is not that they don't have enough female talent, it's the way that they use or don't use the talent that they have. That's the problem.